My colleague Nastassia Arendse spoke to Punki Modise. She's the Absa Interim Group Financial Director.
If I look at the salient features of our performance, I think largely it's informed by the posture that we took, given the fact that, we in a crisis still, which is the COVID pandemic. To a large degree, our focus has largely been on ensuring that we can support our customers in line with our strategic intent, but also at the same time, we've got strong capital position, which largely, confirms the sustainability of our business as we go forward.
Speaking of your customers, what's your sense of the financial appetite to take on more risk, and what are you also seeing from a deposit side?
Yeah, thanks. So I think, in terms of appetite, the appetite really is mixed, if I were to talk about it. So it's mixed from a point of view that we still see continued growth coming through from, the secured portfolios, which is largely the vehicle and asset financing, as well as the home loan side of the business. Whereas on the unsecured, side of the business, we're seeing that customers are taking a much more cautious posture, across the board. However, I think, it's a factor of obviously the business confidence as well as the customer confidence, given that, we sit in a very uncertain macro environment at this particular point in time. And I think that's informing how customers, continue to make decisions around their own affordability levels, as well as, their own finances across the household sector.
In reading your financials, you make mention that for 2022, your credit loss ratio is likely to increase. Let's go through why you're expecting it to increase.
You obviously need to maybe just take a step back a bit, because, our credit loss ratios to a large degree are linked very much to the economy and what happens in the environment. So if we take a step back and look at when COVID hit, because we could see that as we look forward, there's going to be elevated uncertainty. So we took on significant provisions at that point in time. And those provisions have actually helped us, to balance out, how the portfolio performed in 2021. So when looking at 2022, there's a lot of uncertainties that still sit in the broader macro environment. And I think as we were exiting 2021, the key factor really was the surge in inflation levels across the globe, with South Africa also, being impacted, and also most of the countries of our presence in the Africa regions were also, impacted by the surge in inflation. So that's one of the components that's really informing why we're thinking that, impairments may surge as we go forward. However, I think, from where we're sitting now, is the biggest factor is the events around Ukraine. I think to a large degree, those events are, introducing a lot of uncertainty and downside risk for going forward position. And then I think the final component, which is more an internal Absa thing, is that we did have some modeling enhancements, that we put through in 2020, which gave us, in 2021, which actually gave us some benefits. And the benefits of those models were one-off in nature. So when you look at where we're at now, we normally think about our impairments through the cycle. And generally, our loss rates, we expect them to be between a level of 75% and 100, basis points. And then when you look at where we are at now, we're at 77%, which is very, very low. And we don't think that we can repeat, that level of losses. So hopefully that gives you a sense of, how we're thinking about 2022 and going forward in terms of the macro, situation.
On that note, then, let's bring it down to South Africa. How are you seeing that macroeconomic situation from an economic growth point of view?
I would still say it's mixed. And it's mixed from a point of view that, when you look at the events of Russia, we can decide whether you want to think negatively or positively, about what's going on there. And broadly, everyone is talking about surge in inflation, but where is the opportunity? That's the other question you've got to ask yourself. And when you look at South Africa is a commodities, rich country. And I think we've seen also an improvement, coming through commodities. When the Minister of Finance spoke about the budget speech, he did indicate that we've seen significant growth coming through, for South Africa. And that growth was largely driven by the commodity boom. So Russia is a country that's, very rich, or that produces a lot of the world's platinum, as an example. And when you look at what's going on now, they're not going to be able, to sell to, other, destinations in the world. And we obviously then become, the next best destination that the global economies can look towards for platinum.
Right.
So that provides us an opportunity. So from a South Africa point of view, then that's where some of the opportunities are going to come from. And I think as a country, we have to leverage those opportunities because they will propel our economy forward.
Punki, let's leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. That is Punki Modise, who is the CFO at Absa, talking to us about the company's latest financials.